What if I told you that Amish families harvest fresh food 12 months yearly, while modern gardens produce only 4 to 5 months? That year-round production proves achievable through integrated traditional systems, eliminating off-season completely? Today, I'll show you the complete system producing food every single month without grocery store dependency. Cold frames. Simple wooden boxes with glass or plastic tops capture solar heat, creating protective microclimate extending the growing season dramatically. Spring extension begins 4 to 6 weeks earlier than unprotected gardens, allowing March planting. Fall extension continues 4 to 6 weeks later than normal, providing November and December harvest. Total season extension adds 2 to 3 extra months production annually. Lettuce, spinach, kale, and arugula grow actively through freezing temperatures under cold frame protection. Build frames from scrap lumber and old windows for minimal cost. Result delivers fresh salad greens when neighbors' gardens lie frozen and barren throughout winter months. Number 2. Root cellaring, 6 to 8 month fresh storage. 78 words. Cool, dark, humid storage preserves vegetables in near fresh condition for 6 to 8 months without electricity or processing. Potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, and cabbage store. Successfully from September harvest through April or May. Ideal conditions maintain 35 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit with 90% humidity preventing shriveling. Basement corner, buried barrel, or purpose-built cellar all work effectively. Provides fresh eating vegetables all winter, eliminating frozen or canned monotony. No electricity costs or processing labor required beyond proper harvest and storage setup. Result creates winter fresh vegetable supply rivaling summer garden abundance without modern refrigeration dependency. Winter hardy crops. Kale, collards, and spinach survive temperatures to 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, continuing growth during winter thaws. Leeks, parsnips, and carrots remain in ground, all winter harvested as needed during mild periods. Mosh, also called corn salad, grows actively through winter cold in protected beds. Claytonia, known as miner's lettuce, tolerates extreme cold producing tender greens. Harvest during thaws between hard freezes when soil accessible. Frost exposure improves flavor converting starches to sugars, making winter vegetables sweeter. Heavy mulch protects crops during extreme cold periods. Result provides active fresh harvest through coldest months when modern gardens completely dormant. Succession planting. New plantings every 2 to 3 weeks ensure continuous harvest, eliminating feast or famine cycles typical of single plantings. Lettuce planted April through September provides 6 months continuous fresh salads. Beans planted May through July in 3 separate successions harvest continuously rather than overwhelming single week. Carrots seeded March through July and 5 plantings provide baby through full-size roots on demand. Beets and radishes planted whenever space available maintain steady supply. Never experience running out of fresh vegetables mid-season. Prevents overwhelming preservation gluts by spreading harvest across months. Result creates smooth, continuous harvest, mimicking grocery store availability from home garden production. Preservation systems. Canning stores tomatoes, beans, pickles, fruits, and soups, creating year supply of shelf-stable food. Fermenting produces sauerkraut, kimchi, and pickles, adding probiotics and preserving without heat. Drying preserves herbs, beans, tomatoes, and fruits for long-term storage without refrigeration. Freezing captures berries, corn, blanched vegetables, and herbs at peak freshness. Intensive preservation work concentrates July through September during peak harvest abundance. Typical Amish family puts up 200 to 1,000 plus jars annually depending on family size. Result bridges gaps between fresh harvest seasons, providing garden produce year-round, even when nothing grows outside currently. The January-February system. Root cellar supplies potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips, cabbage, and onions stored from fall harvest. Weekly inspection removes any rotting items, immediately preventing spread. Humidity maintained through misting or damp sand, preventing shriveling. Temperature monitoring ensures 35 to 40 degrees ideal range. Mild days allow ventilation, preventing mustiness and excessive moisture buildup. Cold frame contains dormant but living kale and spinach waiting for sunny days to resume growth. Harvest during thaws provides fresh greens supplementing stored vegetables. Heavy snow brushed off, allowing sunlight penetration on clear days. Indoor sprout production provides daily fresh greens without outdoor garden. Alfalfa, mung beans, lentils, and broccoli sprouts grow in mason jars or sprouting trays. 3 to 7 day cycle allows continuous rotation with fresh sprouts daily. High nutrition, including enzymes and vitamins unavailable in stored foods. Microgreens grown in basement or windowsill trays supplement sprouts. Sunflower shoots, pea shoots, radish, and mustard microgreens harvest in 7 to 14 days. Soil or hydroponic methods both work effectively. Supplemental grow lights extend production if natural light insufficient. Meal planning centers around available stored and preserved foods. Breakfast uses stored potatoes, preserved fruit, and fresh eggs from chickens. Lunch features root vegetable soup, fermented pickles, and canned tomatoes. Dinner combines stored onions and carrots with canned beans and dried herbs. Snacks include sprouts, microgreens, and stored apples from root cellar or cold storage. A Amish weekly winter menu demonstrates variety possible from storage. Sunday brings roast chicken with mashed potatoes from storage and canned green beans. Monday serves potato soup with sauerkraut and canned peaches. Tuesday features bean soup from dried beans with cornbread and canned tomatoes. Wednesday uses leftovers with fresh sprout salad. Thursday provides root vegetable stew with pickled beets. Friday serves fish with mashed turnips from storage and coleslaw from storage cabbage. Saturday offers beef with boiled potatoes and canned corn. Planning for spring begins late January with indoor seed starting. Tomatoes, peppers, and onions start under lights. Cold frames cleaned and repaired, preparing for early planting. February planting calendar reviewed, ensuring proper succession timing. The March-April system. Cold frame production intensifies with lettuce, spinach, and arugula planted March 1st. Radishes and turnips direct seeded in protected frames. Peas planted in cold frame or protected outdoor rows. Harvest begins late March, providing fresh greens 6 to 8 weeks before neighbors' gardens producing anything. Overwintered crops wake from dormancy with kale regrowing vigorously. Spinach planted previous fall now harvestable. Garlic scapes appear in late April, providing edible, delicious shoots. Leeks left in ground through winter now ready for harvest. Parsnips taste sweetest after winter freeze, improving flavor dramatically. First outdoor plantings begin as soon as soil workable. Peas direct seed early April or late March in mild years. Lettuce, spinach, and arugula planted outdoors without protection. Onion sets or transplants go in ground. Potatoes traditionally planted St. Patrick's Day, mid-March. Brassicas, including cabbage and broccoli, transplanted from indoor starts. Root cellar depletion strategy uses oldest stored vegetables first as quality declines after 6-month storage. Fresh spring harvest gradually replaces stored crops. April through May represents transition from storage-dependent to fresh harvest diet. Asparagus begins production as perennial bed sends up first spears in April. Daily harvest continues 6 to 8 weeks, providing first truly fresh vegetable of year. High-value, nutrient-dense crop requires no annual planting. Succession planting schedule begins with lettuce seeded every 2 weeks starting April. Radishes planted weekly for continuous supply. Carrots first succession planted April 15th. Proper planning now prevents harvest gaps later in season. Spring preservation begins capturing excess asparagus through canning or freezing. Rhubarb preserved as jam or frozen for pies. Early greens frozen in small portions for later use. Diet shifts from storage-heavy winter meals to fresh-heavy spring eating. Salads return to daily menu after winter absence. Cooking becomes lighter and fresher. Vitamin boost from fresh greens improves health and energy after long winter. The May-August system. May planting explosion transplants tomatoes after last frost date passes. Peppers and eggplant go into warm soil. Beans plant in first succession for July harvest. Squash, cucumbers, and melons direct seeded. Corn planted in blocks ensuring proper pollination. June brings early harvest while planting continues simultaneously. Lettuce, spinach, and peas reach peak production. Radishes and turnips provide continuous harvest from succession plantings. Strawberries ripen from perennial bed established years prior. Second bean succession plants for August and September harvest. Ongoing succession plantings prevent gaps. July preservation work begins in earnest. Berries frozen or made into jam. First cucumber pickles processed. Beets canned for winter storage. Herbs dried capturing year's supply. A garlic harvested and cured for storage. August represents preservation intensity peak with tomatoes canned in quantities of 100 plus quarts for typical family. Green beans canned or frozen in large batches. Corn blanched and frozen. Cucumber pickles continue processing. Sauerkraut fermentation begins using early cabbage. Zucchini processed into relish, salsa, and sauce. Fall garden planted mid-August ensuring autumn harvest. Lettuce seeded for October and November eating. Spinach planted for fall harvest and overwintering. Kale started for winter production. Turnips and radishes planted as fall crops. Carrot seeded for November and December harvest. Balancing fresh eating with preservation requires discipline, eating fresh daily while preserving surplus. Calculate winter needs based on family size. Now canning goals reach 200 to 400 quarts minimum. Freezer filled with berries, corn, and beans. Dried goods include herbs and tomatoes. Work intensity managed through family and community preservation days. Assembly line processing proves most efficient. Children help appropriately for their ages. Evening and weekend canning sessions become routine. Goal remains stocking full year's supply by September end.
October fresh eating continues from cold frame greens producing actively. Fall planted vegetables maturing on schedule. Brassicas reach peak flavor after frost exposure. Leeks and kale remain in garden for harvest. Transition from summer to winter eating happens gradually, not abruptly. The September-October system, fall harvest begins with potatoes dug and cured for long-term storage. Winter squash harvested before first frost. Onions pulled and cured in dry, airy location. Carrots and beets harvested for root cellar storage. Cabbage cut for fresh eating and sauerkraut making. Root cellar stocking aims for 200 to 400 pounds potatoes per person annually. Carrots stored at 50 to 100 pounds. Beets need 30 to 50 pounds. Turnips, parsnips, and rutabagas added in moderate quantities. Cabbage stored at 20 to 40 heads. Winter squash put up at 50 to 100 pounds, providing months of eating tomatoes into sauce and salsa. Remaining cucumbers become pickles. Applesauce made from orchard harvest. Late corn frozen in final batches. Cold frame preparation for winter includes cleaning and repairing structures. Lettuce and spinach transplanted into frames. Kale planted for winter harvest under protection. Mosh and claytonia seeded for cold season greens. Heavy mulch materials prepared for insulation during extreme cold. Overwintering crops established include garlic planted in October for next June harvest, spinach seeded to overwinter for early spring, multiplier onions planted, asparagus bed mulched heavily protecting crowns. Garden cleanup remains minimal, leaving beneficial habitat. Remove only diseased plants, preventing future problems. Beneficial cover and habitat left standing. Cover crops including winter rye and vetch planted, beds mulched heavily protecting soil, healthy plant residues composted, fall storage assessment inventories all preserved goods, calculate if quantity sufficient for winter needs, additional bulk purchasing done if preservation fell short, winter meal rotation planned based on available inventory. Active production mindset maintained recognizing gardens still producing through cold frame and storage, not dormant but actively feeding family, planning and preparation ongoing. Next season begins mentally now. Year-round gardener identity established. True 12-month food production proves achievable through integrated traditional Amish systems, combining multiple techniques synergistically. Cold frames extend active growing season 3 to 4 months beyond normal outdoor gardening. Root cellaring provides 6 to 8 months fresh vegetable storage without electricity. Winter hardy crops harvest through snow during December through February cold. Succession planting eliminates gaps, ensuring continuous harvest spring through fall. Preservation systems bridge fresh season gaps, providing garden produce year-round. Indoor sprout and microgreen production supplements winter outdoor harvest. Perennial crops, including asparagus, harvest different seasons, spreading production across calendar. Complete system integration proves essential, requiring not single technique but a comprehensive approach. Amish families routinely achieve 90 to 100% food self-sufficiency, making grocery store produce optional, not necessary. Start implementing 2 to 3 techniques this year, building complete system gradually over 3 to 5 seasons. Each addition extends the productive season further toward true year-round harvest goal. Begin planning today for next season's expanded production, ensuring your family's food security through all 12 months annually. The November-December system. Cold frame winter management harvests during sunny, mild days. Plants rest during extreme cold without damage. Extra insulation added using blankets on coldest nights. Ventilation occurs on sunny days, preventing overheating damage. Spinach, lettuce, and kale grow actively between cold snaps. In-ground storage crops include leeks mulched heavily and harvested as needed. Parsnips improve dramatically with frost exposure. Carrots survive under foot of mulch. Salsify and scorzonera provide alternative winter roots. Digging occurs during thaws between hard freezes. Root cellar reaches prime time with all crops stored and stabilized. Peak quality period runs November through January. Daily meal planning draws from inventory. Potatoes, onions, and carrots become staple foods. Cabbage used for slaw and cooked dishes. Preserved foods integrate into every meal. Canned tomatoes make sauce and soup. Green beans serve as side dish. Pickles provide condiment and snack. Sauerkraut aids digestion. Applesauce offers dessert and baking ingredient. Sprout and microgreen production ramps up supplementing cold frame harvest. Fresh greens boost nutrition. Daily sprout rotation continues. Weekly microgreen harvest maintained. Windowsill herbs including parsley and chives grow indoors. Nutrition boost critical during dark winter months. Holiday meals source entirely from garden production. Thanksgiving features stored potatoes, squash, canned cranberry sauce, and preserved green beans. Christmas dinner uses root vegetables, sauerkraut, canned peaches, and stored apples. All ingredients come from garden, orchard, or preservation efforts. No grocery store produce needed. December planning begins for next year's garden. Seed catalogs reviewed for varieties. Garden expansion sketched on paper. Preservation goals adjusted based on this year's results. What worked and what didn't documented. Seed orders placed in January.